Welcome to the Connected Leaders Academy virtual conference designed to reshape your vision of transformation. As we navigate the evolving business landscape, our speakers will unveil innovative strategies to manage and initiate change. Prepare to adapt, innovate, and lead, ensuring your role as a catalyst in this transformative era.
I am so excited. Reboot! Let's get real for a second. Many of you have ever felt that exact moment. You are in the middle of working on that $1,000,000 idea. Your coffee's hot, your brain's on fire, and then suddenly that spinning wheel of doom, your computer freezes. And what's the first thing the techies all say? Have you turned it off and on again? Really? So simple? And that's the magic solution? Well, here is the absolute kicker. It works. It works every single time. And not only does it make your computer work, it makes it work better. And guess what? Just like your computer, we get to reboot too, especially as entrepreneurs, because let's be honest, we are so passionate about getting things done and running around and doing all the things. So, when do you hit the pause? When do you let yourself refresh? Well, high achievers here, we're always thinking of the next thing, the next launch, the next strategy, and the next big win. Even the best systems overheat. You imagine driving a Ferrari, 200 miles an hour, around and around with no pit stops. Eventually, even that powerful machine will break down. So, what if instead of having to restart when you are juggling 12 balls and a framing baton and a few other things in the air, what if you choose a time to do it so it was intentional, so it was peaceful and growth centered, instead of that last ditch effort, just keep things going? So often we are so busy conquering the marketplace, making an impact, that we begin to lose the joy in all the busyness. We get caught up in the tasks at hand, get caught up in the numbers, the to-dos, and we forget to just look up and see those around us. We forget to look up and celebrate and even enjoy it all. In our impatience, we become slowed down and we don't see the wood for the trees. And you know what? The trees have grown since we started out. Our forest now includes so much more. And not all that has grown in there was planned. Not all that's in there was even wanted. We also have new levels of purpose and value because we've learned things, we've grown. By simply carrying on the way we always did, we will stagnate. We will get stale and overloaded, just like our computer. We need new fertile soil. We need more space to expand and to implement new strategies, none of which, even though they've been downloaded, we can actually achieve without a reboot, without a new perspective. Think about it. When you reboot your computer, clears out the junk files. It closes down background programming that's slowing it down, and it installs those sneaky little updates and patches that you didn't even know it needed. It comes back faster, it comes back sharper and ready to really move through your work. You can reboot too. And the benefits of rebooting don't stop there. When You reboot your computer, it speeds up performance because it removes the temporary files and clears out the system cache and all those unused software updates that you have started to upload. When you take time to rest and refresh, you have a new zeal and energy because the old, outdated strategies you adopted have been replaced with new ones that fit your new vision. So, what about that vacation you've been planning? Not a workation, although those do have their place, but just a vacation. When you reboot, it also fixes software glitches. You know, those missing drop downs and broken links. A reboot often solves them. Well, I have no idea. But the useful strategies that are now upgraded in your life by your new experience come to life when you reboot. A hike in nature clears the head, and suddenly a solution to a problem drops like a boulder off a cliff. You know what I mean? Unexplainably and out of the blue. Another thing that a reboot does is it fixes the internet connection. Sometimes that reboot is all it takes to get your connection back on track. When you reboot, your passion is renewed. You see upgrade and your upgraded value and recognize that you now serve a greater purpose than you did before because you have more experience and you can apply that experience to create a richer purpose and serve an even greater community. You have new drive and new energy when you reboot. So you have space and time for better collaborations. Maybe not better, different. Rather than just the humdrum of getting it done, you are now passionately building a path forward to more. When you reboot, it stops those memory leaks. It resets the programs that drain the system. Same with us. It didn't close all the programs properly, and perhaps we've got things lurking that we started that don't serve us. We can release those and we can pivot because the cache has been cleared and the processor has been freed up. The unnecessary things that we had get cleared out and give us room to breathe. We can evaluate and create space to plan, space to look at and evaluate the risks we can take. So imagine if you actually did that for yourself and you took the time to reboot and install the antivirus software. Doesn't come into effect until you reboot. Do you know that feeling you have when your phone is running slow and a simple restart makes it feel brand new? We're no different. We carry so much mental clutter, emails, notifications, that project you meant to finish 2 months ago. It's time to clear that cache. Take some time to reboot, to shut down from all the IPAs and trust that you will have better, more successful income producing activities as a result of your reboot. Things like social time with friends so that you can assess the results you've had and pivot so that you can plan to have a greater effect. Do you know what? In this time, perhaps stop and read a book for personal development, not for business knowledge, just for fun, refresh. However, there are times when we think rebooting is the answer. Have you ever had that situation? Because I have, where your screen flashes and the sirens go and you've been hacked and it's telling you to do something. And the immediate reaction is reboot, turn it off. Well, that isn't the time to reboot. That isn't the time to turn it off, shut it all down, and walk away. That's the time when you need to call the people who actually know what to do with it and not sit there in fear. Call the techies. Well, personally, I would call the mentor. Call somebody who has the wisdom because they've been through that before. Find a coach. Find somebody you can relate to who can tell you what the wise thing to do. But here's the big secret. When they give you advice, evaluate it, and then listen to it. I recently launched my podcast, the Joy Inspired Podcast. And you know what? There were moments where it wasn't very joyful. So I had to stop and I had to look at the fact that I had not listened in the moments of crisis to my mentor. She's been there, she's done it, she's been through it. And yet I chose not to listen. So I sat in a bit of a pickle. But she didn't tell me to reboot. That was a time to do a soft boot, to reorganize, to replan, and to catch up on what I've missed. But why do we recommend rebooting? We recommend it because that day in solitude, the meditation time, the walk, it's a spiritual nap. A weekend off or that long delayed trip to Hawaii, yes, please. These allow you to shut down properly. And at that point, you totally reduce the risk of the mental data leak. Don't we all have those moments where we just feel so overwhelmed and we know what to do, but we've frozen on how? Time to reboot. Don't do it only once every 3 months. Take time daily for journaling, meditation, and those little resets will keep your mind and spirit running smoothly. The system that reboots regularly doesn't just avoid crashes, it actually thrives. You know, when you start to look at examples, whether you recognize Jesus as the Lord God or just think he was a man who has had a lasting impact, because let's face it, he has. 2,000 years later, and we're still talking about him. So he does carry some wisdom. And before he started his ministry, he went up into the wilderness, 40 days, no distractions, no noise, just him, his father, and the clarity of purpose. That was his reboot, clearing out the distractions and preparing spiritually for what was ahead. Now, imagine if Jesus had tried diving right into the healing and the teaching that was lying before him without some spiritual recharge, how distracted and lost he could have got. And if even he needed to reboot before stepping into that phase of his passion and calling, perhaps we should. And you know what? It didn't stop there. It wasn't a once off. Throughout his ministry, he went off into peaceful places to meditate. Food for thought. So, how do we actually implement this? We close the unnecessary tabs, we clear the cache, and we install the update. What? No, I'm not a techie person. But closing those unnecessary tabs, look at what are you holding onto that drains your energy. Perhaps it's fear of failure, imposter syndrome, or that one client who treats every single email like total emergency. Look at Moses. Before leading the Israelites out of Egypt, he had to let go of self-doubt. Do you know that he literally argued with God about not being a good speaker? But once he could shut that tab down, once he could close it and lose that insecurity, boom, he led an entire nation to freedom. What are the tabs that are open in your life that need closing? Is it perfectionism? A toxic business relationship? Close them. Clear the bandwidth and make space for the things that really matter. In addition to closing tabs, you get to clear your cache. All those mental cookies, past failures, negative feedback, moments where you just didn't feel good enough are cluttering your drive. Think of Paul. Before becoming one of the greatest apostles, he was Saul. He was persecuting and killing Christians. After he met Jesus, he cleared his cache of guilt and of the past mistakes he had been holding on to. That reboot was not an easy one. Look where it led him. It led him to his greatest mission. What past mistakes are you still carrying that are weighing you down? Time to clear that cache. And the third strategy of installing updates. Just like your computer, you need regular updates to stay relevant. And I'm not just talking about business updates. I'm talking about rebooting your faith. Look at King David. He faced battles, failures, and personal losses. And every time he fell, turned round and God for renewal. He said, create in me a pure heart and renew steadfast spirit in me. When was your last update? When did you last immerse yourself in scripture, spend time in prayer, simply be still and allow God to speak? So if you haven't done those things, have you felt like you are running on 1% battery with no charger in sight? Been there. Winston Churchill put it so well. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And this speaks volumes about the essence of leadership and resilience. Just like a computer that occasionally needs a reboot, our lives and our leadership paths aren't resilient to hiccups at all. There'll be moments when progress halts, energy fades, direction blurs. And it's during those times that we get to courageously reboot. In essence, we get to renew our spirit. We get to renew our leadership vision with faith. It's such a rush. It's sometimes we reach points where the momentum stalls, burnout creeps in, and our creativity wells run dry. And those are the moments when we too need a reboot, a fresh start, so that we can rejuvenate our aspirations and our visions, and we can reassess the trajectory we're on. Today's the perfect day. Today is an occasion where we can complete the sequence of rebooting. The beauty of a reboot is it allows us to declutter our minds from the outdated beliefs, unproductive behaviors, and the unnecessary concerns that we. It's a bit like pruning a tree. You take away the dead branches to make room for fresh fruit, for new fruit, so that you can have more impact. When we align with our faith, the potentials are endless. So again, I ask that vital question. When was the last time you paused to, to reflect and to look to the core of your source of strength? Not just catch a brief break, but to truly engage and spend time in reflection. In leadership, it's easy to become entangled in the never ending demands, leading teams, securing results, all those things, balancing our personal life, getting the results that we often forget. We forget that we're not meant to do this alone and in our own strength. Because leadership isn't just a role, leadership is a calling. And every calling comes with a powerful sustaining source. For me, that source is faith in God. Whatever that might be for you, tap into it. Tap into the source of your power and the power of your source. By refreshing with a reboot, we get time to tap into that faith. And in those moments, we can embrace the power of connection because genuine belief requires intentional effort. Don't slip into the routine and the mediocrity that comes from being dominated by responsibilities and quotas and just looking at the numbers. Connect meaningfully with the power of your source through practices like prayer, meditation, and journaling. Ask yourself, are you nourishing your spirit? Much like your phone cannot function on that depleted and run out power, nor can you. Your leadership cannot thrive like that. Also, transition from that space of self-reliance to trust. And that brings to leading with purpose, because when you do that, you are looking at how you are leading and therefore how you are serving. So as we wrap up, envision your life as a guiding lamp. And only when that lamp is plugged into a power source does it brighten its surroundings. Faith, belief connects us to this lifeline of wisdom and vitality. And that's what lights your way. So here's my challenge. When is your reboot scheduled? What tabs do you need to close? What mindset junk needs clearing? And what faith dates are you overdue for? Schedule a reboot. Success isn't just about running hard. It's about knowing when to pause. Hit that restart button. Reboot your faith. Refresh your mindset and unlock those new leadership horizons waiting for you, because they're there. And trust me, your next breakthrough, it's already downloading. So I encourage you now, go and lead like you just got a full system upgrade. Because if you take the space to refresh and reboot, you just got one. If you want to connect with me, you're welcome to. You can find me at Nikki Joy Inspired on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you for participating in today's enlightening session. As we transition to our next expert, remember that each strategy and insight is a step toward becoming a transformative leader in your field. Visit connectedleadersacademy.com to stay engaged and informed. The journey of change is ongoing. Let's move forward together.